I think we will just get started. Yes, but today our webinar is going to be about the 8 key elements to start ServiceNow CSM. And our presenter today is you, Nenad.
So we talked about the kind of the definition of that
much better
customer experience and what it actually entails. So from the kind of perspective of how the good customer service is delivered and how you create that grand or good customer experience, it is important that you kind of imagine your best online shopping experience and how you feel as a consumer to those service providers when you're treated one way or the other, and especially in terms of what is kind of that smoothest online shopping experience. Because in the modern world, this is really what your customers and what your consumers really expect from you as their service provider. So in a way, let me tell you kind of a traveler story, because this is kind of a real life customer experience which can occur to really anybody that makes or does any kind of traveling. We're going to do a little bit of a flight industry issue where things go wrong. I mean, that kind of happens in not everyday life, but it happens from time to time. And it's really how you create, or how in this particular case, a company really treats a consumer of their sold product. So really what they have purchased is really a ticket, and they expect to travel on a particular date, and then things go wrong and flight is cancelled. First and foremost, in a customer view and in the customer perspective or in the consumer perspective, the first thing that actually occurs is the anger. Oh, the flight got cancelled. I'm not getting anywhere. But then quite quickly after that anger, you get into so-called recovery mode. So you get into a resolution where, of course, you want to save the day. You still want to go on that trip. You still want to travel. And what the service provider provides, or in this particular case, we're going to use Lufthansa as an example, what they provide is really a service portal. And what they provide is kind of automated rebooking experience. Because if you kind of jump on the traditional ways of communicating, if you jump on a phone, you will probably be somewhere in the line and probably number 140 something, or in very extreme cases, the phone might be jammed and you won't be even able to communicate with the service provider. So a good experience in this particular case is made by provisioning an ability to rebook this flight via a chat interaction. And it might be a chatbot, it might not have to be a chatbot, it might be a live agent. But really and truly what they do is that they identify the customer, because that's kind of the vital step of knowing who to rebook and what to rebook. And this is something we're going to talk about later during our session today. By providing the details, again, with or without the automation, the service provider will provide you a replacement services based on the contract, so your previous flight, and your entitlements which you have with that service provider. And they will present you with options so that you can really pick the most suitable flight for you. And of course, once chosen, that fulfillment will be done and agreed again through an automation, and your new tickets will be issued. So kind of a very simple example of a customer experience, really a rebooking experience in an occurrence of an issue, which might occur from time to time. So new tickets will be issued and you will be ready to go. rebooking was successful, you will get your new tickets, and even though maybe you're still slightly angry or maybe annoyed with everything that happened, but you will leave this experience with a sense of satisfaction. And of course, the less annoyment and less problem it will bring you, it will really create that feeling of, oh, this was simple for me. I was able to do it with not too much hassle. So I am coming back here again because this is a good, really a good service and a satisfactory situation, which you can really recommend, and kind of it brings value to you. So from there, and that story kind of brings us into imagine if your customers could have the same personalized experience with your company as a service provider when they interact with you, when they purchase products from you, and when they really are supposed to be supported through that life cycle, and certain things that might occur during that life cycle of your product and service provision. So it is important to kind of emphasize that even though I have talked about a kind of business to consumer experience, so B2C, this really just boils over to the B2B experience as well, because at the end of the day, we as employees in a B2B relationship and in a B2B space, we expect to be treated similar way as we are when we actually act as a consumers. There is still a little bit of a kind of a traditional problem even in this modern day, and even in 2025, that to be able to provide this kind of service, there is a challenge that business units, they still act in silos. There is still a customer interface which is kind of very basic, sometimes just email and the phone and FAQ pages at its best. And it's kind of, and agents, they are kind of left in the siloed island to treat with customer issues. And there are multiple set of old and disconnected systems which would bring kind of end-to-end understanding and the value chain in order to resolve these things. And of course, as you all know, ServiceNow is a modern platform which resolve these things, and which of course is the platform, a recognized platform to be able to provide a good customer service. And
maybe it's time for a small poll for our
sure.
audience.
Jump in. So while you're answering the poll, I'll continue with the story. So really and truly, for providing the good customer service, it's not just the actual tooling in itself. You still need people, you still need good defined customer service practices in place. But of course, to be able to run these practices, it is really important that you have a robust CSM system in place, which you can use to automate manual tasks, which you can use to allow agents to focus on their critical duties, and of course, give an ability to customers to do a lot of the self-service and the self-help, which we've been kind of describing throughout that traveler story. And as you all know, ServiceNow CSM is a product which, of course, provides that full solution for connecting all your business units into an end-to-end service value chain. And it gives you ability to even enable the customers to do a lot of the self-service themselves, and to provide swift issue resolution and service fulfillment and service delivery by connecting everybody that needs to be involved through that end-to-end customer service management workflow. And as you all know, ServiceNow CSM, or the ServiceNow platform, is very comprehensive. It has a vast set of capabilities and comprehensive set of CSM capabilities. It's been released 8 years ago, first time around, and it's been growing, 2 new releases a year, and it's been kind of taking a fast way to becoming one of the CSM leaders in the industry. So by having all these capabilities, we kind of get to a point where it becomes a little bit of a challenge of really, where do I start? So before we take that question, maybe we should launch an next poll.
Yes, of course. It's quite interesting to hear how many of you are using ServiceNow CSM today. And if we just take the response from the earlier poll, we can see that many of you have said that you will describe your customer service okay, but a lot of you are handling it manually today.
So while kind of that comprehensive nature of ServiceNow and what it has for the CSM space is kind of a little bit of a challenge. Where do I start? Because it comes with over 100 different functions and functionalities and capabilities, and it might be a little bit of a challenging to decide a starting point. And if you're new to ServiceNow, or if you are new to CSM in ServiceNow, you might wonder where to pick and what to pick from the comprehensive list of features in that product, and what is really necessary to start kind of a simple journey, a very good baseline level to start the maturity journey on enabling a customer service with the usage of ServiceNow in your organization. So today we're going to talk about the 8 core elements to launch a successful customer service. And of course, we're going to align that to ServiceNow as a platform, because that's what we do here. We talk ServiceNow. So these 8, or based on the experience, these 8 core elements are the ones that you would need in order to start your CSM journey. These are the 8 core capabilities that we believe they are foundational to your CSM journey. We've done previous work before with lots of our CSM customers, and this is kind of the common denominator in the grand list of capabilities, or in the grand list of elements, which always customers need to do to be able to fulfill kind of that story which I told you before about how to meet and how to create that good customer experience. So we're going to talk about and deep dive into all these elements from now on. So let's start with the first one, which is modern CSM platform. This is kind of given. We're here, we talk about ServiceNow. So yes, it is ServiceNow. It is ServiceNow CSM, Customer Service Management product. It's easy to adopt. It's easy to use. It has a modern interface. If you already are existing ServiceNow customer, then you already know these things. But let's talk about a little bit why this element is important, because again, ServiceNow, we talk ServiceNow. ServiceNow CSM provides a ready-made CSM product. So it has, again, a grand list, very large list of customer service and customer operations practices and functionalities in it. And it can be easily configured to support multiple use cases throughout multiple different industries. And as you all know, if you're an existing ServiceNow customer, it is integrated with the rest of the platform, so it can talk to your IT, it can talk to your backend offices in a very easy manner. And it's really foundational baseline for providing good customer service. And it's not just us saying that, and it's not just us stating that, because ServiceNow is recognized as one of the CSM leaders in the CSM, so Customer Service Management, and even Customer Relationship Management software space, by Gartner, by Forrester. And of course, that technical functionality that it's there, it fulfills all the core elements that we're going to talk throughout the rest of our session. So taking the next element, because now we decided the modern platform, the modern CSM platform in ServiceNow, that's our element number one. The next element is intelligent workspace. And as part of a modern platform, it is really important to provide dynamic and intelligent workspace to your customer representatives, to your agents, to your staff. So it has to be modern, it has to be supporting those customer service practices. They need to have the ability to have that easy overview and not switching between the tabs or between the systems or different applications. Equally, as we talk about, if you remember that traveler story, there's a one-stop shop, there's a portal. This is kind of the interface for agent and for your internal staff with all necessary information at glance. And of course, with appropriate component assistance, where with intelligent components, you can get help as an agent to provide good customer service to your customers. And why is this important? Well, first and foremost, because if you're empowered by a one-stop shop, so if you don't need to jump back and forth between the systems, which might be very time-consuming, but you bring in the data into one interface where you can work very easily and swiftly, then you are better equipped to manage and provide service and support when that is necessary. And of course, based on the fact that it has the relevant interfaces, it's going to be very easy for you to see what to prioritize versus not. Having those resources, again, in one place, rather than searching through multiple systems and sources. Well, we have contracts somewhere on Teams, or we have our SLAs stored somewhere, but I have never seen them throughout the time I've spent at this job. And that's kind of what you bring into ServiceNow and provide in the agent interface. So again, in that workspace, so that agents and customer representatives have their views and can resolve these issues promptly. And of course, if you do that, then you enable quicker resolution and fulfillment rates. And of course, customers will be happier, because that's really the thing which you want to achieve, is the increased customer satisfaction. The next element is really the key element of the entire story. It's really knowing your customer and understanding the customer. As we've been talking through that traveler story, they need to know, the service provider, or Lufthansa in that case, they needed to know who that traveler is and what ticket did they buy and what entitlements they have on that particular ticket, in order to be able to swiftly resolve the issue and, of course, issue new tickets. So one of the most important elements is understanding who your customer is. So know what your customer has purchased from you and what contractual obligations you as a provider have in every customer engagement and interaction with that customer. So it's really important that you bring in the necessary data into ServiceNow so that you can enable your agents and your representatives and your staff through the kind of the business operations of customer provided products and services. So knowing your customer, or as it is called in ServiceNow, customer data management modeling, is the core driver of your business and core driver for ServiceNow CSM to function as it is intended. So bringing the data into right places or into right tables is the key, because it will reduce the amount of customization that you need to make, and it will really use the product as it is intended to be used and intended to function and intended to deliver you the objectives as you have set upon you. So really the goal is to provide your agents and your staff with that internal data which is necessary for providing the service and providing the service or the product operations. And of course, even at the same time, you provide the similar set of data, or really the same set, but not maybe to the same extent to your customers. So you can transparently show them what products did they purchase, what contracts do they have with you, what you have installed for them, if you're in the tech business, for example, and of course, what cases they might have with you and what the progress on those cases might be. So in the end, what you want to achieve is really having the common language at any given point in any interaction, because you're looking at the same data, but maybe from a completely different perspectives. So sales rep in an organization will see the same data as an agent, but from a different perspective, and they might be interested in certain elements which will not be visible to agents, because agents might be very focused on, for example, technical aspects of the delivered service. And at the same time, customers will see their own data more from the contractual aspect of, oh, I have purchased a particular product and now I have received it and it's faulty and I want to register a return. And that's kind of the key element which is derived and which is driven by getting that customer data into ServiceNow and enabling your organization and your business operations to manage it at any given point in time throughout the life cycle. And how is this done? It's really a collection of the data which might be dispersed in, well, CRMs or ERPs or any kind of other systems and data sources. And it doesn't necessarily have to be copied into ServiceNow. It can be brought in on an ad hoc basis if necessary, but certain footprints, so for example, order footprints can be brought in just to represent what the customer have ordered if the order fulfillment process or resides outside of ServiceNow, but at least you have a footprint and the customer sees it in their support portal. So you see really the same data. So again, the most important aspect is that you don't have to bring in all the data. You just need to bring in the necessary level that is required to run the customer service and customer operations effectively.
I think before we move on, I just want to make sure that there's no one who has a question who has not or asked it in the chat. If you have any questions, then please remember to write it either in the question tab or in the chat. And then No questions.
No questions. Then we proceed.
We proceed.
So our next element is, of course, it's efficient case management. I mean, things go wrong. You interact with customers, you speak to customers. So core element of customer service management is case management, of course. It's critical because it's the main means of maintaining the service delivery or the product delivery, but it's in equal way, it's the means of maintaining, if you do it right, and if you do the customer service right, then it's the means of maintaining the customer satisfaction. Because when things are done well, it's all good. You will most probably not hear from the customer if you don't ask them. So do the customer satisfaction surveys. What do you think and what do you feel? But you need to understand that your customer service and your customer or service delivery is perceived and mostly measured when things go wrong. So when something goes wrong, then you will be actually put on spot to make those swift resolutions. Because customers expect them, they expect quick, they expect reliable, and they expect accurate information, and they expect things to work back as they did before. And as I already said, and I'm going to repeat this one, the big driver for this is, of course, the customer data, because then you can ensure that your agents are well informed about which products and services customer has bought, which service commitments, so contracts and service level management, will tell you what to prioritize and guarantee the responses in the communication channels. And of course, that timely information will build trust, and it will again enhance the customer experience. And then when you are mature enough, for the standardized elements, you can introduce the automation, you can introduce the workflows, and you can actually use a lot of standard fulfillment for different kind of service models and different kind of case types where that is eligible to do. And of course, case management will internally provide you the means of measurement and metrics, how to analyze and how to improve your customer service. But we will talk about that a little more later. The next element, or our fifth element, is really providing access, efficient access to the information. So remember that story, how important it was to kind of tell, well, the flight got cancelled. And you need to tell your consumer, well, this is what you need to do next in order to, well, get your money back or maybe rebook your flight. So it is important to provide that timely in an accurate way. And again, that is the key to customer satisfaction. And providing information, as you most probably know, is the responsibility of the knowledge management practice. So you need to have that ability to provide your customer with the relevant information, but you need to provide it so that the relevant information is given to a relevant audience. So really that targeted audience. You need to know what customer has purchased from you, and then you can give them the information on their purchases and on their products when and where that is applicable. Very important. And again, how do you know that? The key is customer data management. The key is, again, the element of knowing your customer. And again, it's really the same data which you provide to your internal organization as you do to your customers, but really kind of from a different perspective. So agent might see a little bit more in the, let's call them knowledge articles, or in the information in a particular content, which might be more technically based or more detail on how you do certain things in the back end, while you would provide the same information with a certain front-end elements which consumer can or customer can consume, and especially if you would like them to do something on their own instead of you for fulfilling their requests. So kind of enabling that zero-level support and self-service. So going to a next element, which is you have to have the ability in a modern consumer-like experience, provide the means of and ability for customers and consumers of your services to request more, and really to do it themselves or do it yourself. So self-service is important, because if your phone is jammed, or if your other communication channels are not available, or if you have any other particular obstacles. And today it's really, we are so used to do these things as consumers that it becomes kind of a good practice that, okay, I need this, I want to reclaim something, or I want to make a claim, or I want to return back something which I have ordered. You go to a portal, and through these forms or particular published services, you can initiate, generate, and in certain cases, as in that traveler story, you can fulfill the entire procedure yourself as a customer. And this is what you as a service provider need to provide to your customers. It's something which needs to be kind of positioned through the longer timeline, because you probably will build your services from day 1 to day 4 to day 7, and kind of extend what you can offer due to the fact that it takes time to publish the services in the end. But really kind of the first step of removing from the traditional means of communication, which is email, that's a simple one, but it's very unstructured. So removing the email reducing the email as a means of communication and moving it to a more structured contact forms, you can easily identify your customer. You can easily get help from your customer to tell you that I have an issue with this product which I bought, it never arrived, and I want to claim my money back. If that communication only is received through an email, you will probably need to spend 3, 4, 5, 7 days before you actually get to the point that you discover which products have been missing and what the amount was and things like that. But due to again, knowing the customer, so having that customer data management in place and knowing that transaction and that order, how it looked like, through a contact form, you can receive the claim and then fulfill it within a day or 2, and if automatically, maybe even in seconds. And then, of course, it is important to emphasize that, again, the key element, knowing your customer and customer data management, you can expose relevant services for the products which customer have purchased. So they don't need to search for it. They can easily go and see, this is my product. It's a broadband. I have 100 megabit and I would like to upgrade. So you can expose the upgrade possibilities, the upsell, the service actions related to that product. So it's very easy for me to do that request, and then either through automatic fulfillment or something else, even manual one, you fulfill it with ease. Or you can promote additional products or services based on what the consumer or a customer have already purchased, because you know what they have already purchased. So they don't need to kind of search for something which they already have, and understanding and knowing that they already do. Our next, last but not least element is all these elements which we talked about. We really kind of, as a service provider, want to assemble it all together into, as we talked about agents, we want to assemble them to a one-stop shop for the customer. So we talk about a customer service portal. If you have purchased anything at Amazon, then you know that the portal is really the key. I mean, the shop is really the key. You go there, and again, emphasizing the importance of knowing your customer, they would provide me my experiences based on what I have purchased before. So once logged in, Amazon knows what I have purchased, what my services are, which entitlements I have, which entitlements I don't have, and they will provide intelligent entry point for further interactions with them. So if I want to claim something, they will expose me my order history and ask me, okay, which of these products which you have purchased you want to make a claim for. If I want to purchase a new service, they would kind of show me those services based on what I have purchased before. And this is, again, knowing your customer. So why is the portal so important? In the modern space, everybody's used to do online shopping, and the portals are those experiences. So you should use the portal and accompany your traditional omni-channel phone and email with a customer service portal. And then there you can show your customers everything they need to know, everything what they have purchased. And by getting them to a portal and asking them to identify themselves, you will be able to provide them the relevant information and again work on creating and increasing customer satisfaction. And when things go wrong, you can transparently show them the progress on their ongoing interactions, and if they need further help, then you can provide them the means of getting in touch through that service catalog, contact forms, or by exposing chat within the portal so they can chat, just as we did with rebooking the tickets for Lufthansa flight. So portal is really kind of the modern world that is playing enormously important role for personalized and friendly interaction, which you want to create as a service provider, because it will remove the burden from your agents and it will foster more self-service and more self-help. So your agents and your technicians and your operational staff can focus on other things, while the customer will actually do certain elements of that work for you. And if you do it well, it will increase, of course, the satisfaction and loyalty. And our final element is, of course, analytics and reporting. And again, it's driven by the customer data management element. So knowing your customer, knowing everything what they do, and in conjunction with everything else, especially the case management, it will provide you a data foundation as a baseline for improvement, because you need to constantly work based on the facts and figures and knowing what to improve. So you need to identify and understand. You need to analyze the data, such as case volumes, order volumes, response times, portal usage. When has the customer found something and when they didn't? So you can kind of remove those obstacles. you need to listen to a customer feedback. These articles or that information was completely irrelevant, so you remove it. Because again, you can measure success by analyzing a lot of data. And based on that, you make the informed decision for continuous improvement, because today in the modern world, you need to continuously improve. You cannot stop, because the technology and the services, they mature, they change. So you will need to change with them. So as mentioned, all these elements, and especially case management, provides the means for measurement and metrics, and ServiceNow CSM has a comprehensive set of out-of-the-box dashboards, analytics, and reports, which you can use for understanding the portal usage, understanding how much have the customer or the consumer used your portal, your knowledge base, your catalog, how many open cases by product you have, how good do you perform in alignment with your contractual obligations and SLAs, and so on and so on. So from the 8 core elements, here is the list of, so kind of translating those 8 core elements for good customer service into the product of ServiceNow CSM. So here are the kind of the 8 core work packages or 8 core functional capabilities which you would need to implement in ServiceNow to kickstart that CSM journey. So for, of course, number 1, which is here really number 5, you need to implement or you need to install the CSM product. You would need to import the customer data. You would, of course, need to implement case management. With that, you will get the agent workspace, and then you would need to build the content for internal and external knowledge management. Build the content in the service catalog, because all of that will be published into a portal, and that is where you will invite your customers to do those interactions with you and to know what they have. And then based on those operational activities and actions and workflows and fulfillments and interactions and disputes and everything else, you can continuously work by using the analytics and reporting to improve these services that you provide to your customers. So that would be kind of the baseline, but before we actually jump into the future, another poll: which of these 8 elements do you kind of mostly struggle with? Or would you be struggling with if you haven't implemented CSM yet?
It's on the way.
So again, kind of the baseline are these 8 elements. The product, the CSM product in itself, has many more capabilities which are available, and to be honest, they build kind of that baseline for the future. So if you remember, we've talked about all the CSM capabilities, and one might wonder, oh, from all these 100 something, where do I really start? And these are the 8 basic elements, which now we boil down to 8 really functionalities within ServiceNow, and they would really represent the foundation and a baseline for embarking on that CSM journey. So if you do these 8 elements, you will be ready to go. You will have that capability, as we've been talking about in the traveler story, in a good experience explanation, in a good customer experience definition and explanation. So these key 8 elements will get you to a starting point. And then from there, you can roadmap really and decide where you want to go from there on. Because in your organization, certain capabilities might be more important than maybe in some other organization. In your industry, you might be perhaps very AI driven, or maybe not AI driven, due to the fact that there are certain jurisdictional or any kind of legislations that might lead you to another kind of journey. But there is a set of or multiple sets of capabilities which are really available for you to consume in the product, and to make that journey, as individual as it is for different companies, really set that roadmap for you that will improve your overall customer service management platform, practices, and of course, in the end, experiences. Are we ready to move to the poll?
I'm struggling a bit regarding the customer experience. I'm really sorry for that. But we do have oh no, we don't. I'm sorry. You're welcome. Everyone will have the recording afterwards. So
should we move to the...
Let's do that. I'm really sorry for that.
So in terms of we talked about this baseline of 8 elements, which really kind of boil down to the 8 functional capabilities in the ServiceNow CSM as a product family. So based on our many CSM implementation, which led us to the understanding of these core CSM elements, we've created something which we call a CSM Smart Path. So we created a product or an offering for a quick ServiceNow CSM implementation of these 8 mentioned key elements which we've been talking about. It's really just the kind of the packaging of these 8 core CSM packages with the help to provide an implementation within a short time frame, within 3 to 4 months. We can bring your CSM implementation on that level of these 8 key elements to life, so you can start consuming the CSM, provide good services to your customers, and then embark on the rest of your customer service management journey. Do we have that poll ready, Sasha?
We do. Thank you so much. So yes, would you like to be contacted to hear more about our CSM Smart Path or how we can help with your CSM journey?
So by saying that, any questions in the chat?
No. While we're waiting, I would like to highlight some of our upcoming webinars, and I hope you have or had a great experience today, despite the technical issues, both with the sound and the polls. I'm sorry for that. We have some upcoming events, both some physical events, but also some webinars. Next week, we will have our customer Sulzer joining us and talk about their re-implementation of ServiceNow back to out of the box. and that will take place the 29th of January. And you can sign up on our website right now for that. On the 27th of February, we will have another webinar, and that will be about the Employee Center, where one of our UX designers will join and talk about what you should avoid on the Employee Center. And then we will join the ServiceNow conference in Norway in March from the 3rd to the 5th. So that is relevant for those of you who are located in Norway. And for those of you who are located in Germany, we are hosting a Retail Operations Day together with the De facto and ServiceNow. And you're also able to find that event and sign up for it on our website.